We have Councilman Camal Pennington of Ward 7. I'm
Thank you.
so excited to reflect on 2 years after South of 8. That was such a big project. You were so instrumental in advocating and contributing to that work. We appreciate your service in that, in your new role now and beyond.
Well, thank you, Vanessa, and thank you for the leadership that you have shown in South of 8th, in helping us think more critically about lived spaces in our community, about how we honor our history in that. And so I appreciate all the work that you're doing. South of 8th has really been an inspiration to me in leading the community as on the city council. And I think the biggest ways that it's impacted me is, number one, it's been educational. I don't have a background in urban planning. And as you saw through this process, a lot of our neighbors don't have that knowledge and that background. So you brought information and an opportunity for people to learn more and grow in their vision for what the community could be. I'm fourth generation Northeast Oklahoma City, so I have the stories of my great-grandparents even talking about what Northeast Oklahoma City is like. But I didn't personally experience that and live through that. South of 8th in this process, and you giving people a vision for options and alternatives of what our spaces could look like, only sustainable, in a way that allows people to live healthier lives, in a way that's stimulating business, in a way that we can live where we are including people of all incomes and age and place. That just was the exciting thing for me, and it's given me a vision for what our whole community could look like.
Thank you so much. And it's just been such a privilege to work with you and working with people who have lived expertise in this generational lineage that can help inform what happened here and understanding the legacies, the amazing, abundant communities they built that were self-contained and had these strong networks of culture and relationships and community building, to be able to learn a deeper story from people like you who grew up in the area, whose family goes way back. A lot of people were not aware of that history unless it was lived. And so thank you and your family. And I'm so grateful for the over 400 community members that came in and shared those stories, because that's not something you can just get in a Google search and find out. That's not something that you can find in a book. That's not information that's really visible or accessible outside of the people who, again, lived it. So for you all to come in and inform, this is what the community was, this is what we went through. Yes, we need to reckon with that, but we have a big vision for our future. That makes the work of me as an urban planner possible. And to be able to translate that feedback into spatial interventions, it's just, it was such a beautiful experience. There were some challenges. There were some definitely difficult conversations that had to be had. But all in all, it really gave us a blueprint to think about how can we equitably revitalize this area and think about strategies to repair. We'll never be able to reverse what happened.
Right.
But how do we work towards reparative, stronger, resilient futures for the East Side?
Well said. Completely agree with you. And things that I've learned from just this experience is, without us being intentional about recording our history, about ensuring that it's integrated into the way that we are building our community, that history is lost. Because when I think about the impact of urban renewal, even on my family and so many others all across this nation, it's lost. When you move, you know how many pictures you throw away, how many of those stories, the old family Bible, the thing that happens when you left that physical space, like there's so much history that's lost. And so the fact that we're making intentional efforts to make sure that those stories are told and included, not just the most famous ones, like we love to talk about Clara Loop, Ralph Ellison, but there are so many other stories of families, F.D. Moon, there's all these people who deserve to have a place that is recognized among every generation that goes forward. It's just so important that we be that intentional.
And I love too, because people walk around the East Side, they see the vacancy, they see the erasure, the concentrations of poverty, and they think the community has always been that way. And then there's this fear and stigma of revitalization, because the perception is, if new development comes in, then I can't stay. Or I can't be here. And so you have this misconception that things have always been in this deficit. You have this fear of new. And it's been so restorative and affirming for me to be able to be like, no, let's look at these pictures and maps, because this was here before. There was density, there was mixed use development, there were row houses, there were duplexes. Like, this is nothing new for the community. And we can look at the historic models, and we may never be able to replicate it exactly what it was in the early 1900s, but we can look at these models of excellence, of prosperity, of co-economics, how Black
Yes.
folks were organizing and supporting each other's businesses and keeping the dollar in the community. There are models for that. How has the South of Eighth report helped you steward some of those conversations? Has it been helpful? And how has that been able to help you educate folks on the importance of the connection between we need to revitalize, we need to rebuild in order for this to be a full-time community once again?
Well, I want to start at this point. It's fair for the community to feel like, to have a fear of density. And so the power of South of Eighth is we unleash people's creativity, people's passion, people's vision for what the past was, with an education about what good modern urban planning looks like, to build a new innovative product. And that's why I think the South of Eighth product, that plan, is a model that needs to be carried forward throughout as we're building East Oklahoma City. I also think it's very important as a community leader that we be very honest with the community about what it takes for our goals, for us to meet our goals of an economically thriving place. The reality is people have to live here. And we need that to happen in order for us to be successful. We've got an opportunity, again, for us to empower businesses, for us to empower our entrepreneurial spirit, to be able to rebuild a community in the image that we see. And that's why great work, again, like South of Eighth, like Placekeepers and the work that they're doing to train a generation of minority developers on how to be a developer, on how to get access to capital. And they're now doing it with their capstone project of building up the White Orchard neighborhood. So my job is not only to help educate the community about this is what it's going to take for us to be revitalized, but for us to be willing to take them with us on this journey in a way that's optimistic and positive, because I'm excited about our future.
Me too.
I'm grateful for leaders like you who are helping us build up this future. And so I just want to get everybody else as excited as we are.
Exactly. Yeah. It's such an amazing time to be in Oklahoma City right here today, right now. When I travel around and I go to different cities and see what they're doing, it's always inspiring, but I'm like, man, like you guys aren't able to really move and get things done like we can. Where so many other cities are so built up, there's so much bureaucracy, there's so much competition and scarcity that you're not really able to get to the table and be a part of decision-making processes like you can here in Oklahoma City. The fact that I can call you up and we can have this conversation, the fact that we can bring over 400 people together over a 2-year process to inform and cast a vision for this community. It's powerful how we've been able to mobilize at a grassroots level and at a city level to bring these solutions together to really advance change. And that goes into my next question for you, because I know there's so much happening on the east side. We are literally going through a whole transformation in so many different ways, which is so exciting. But I think people sometimes get fatigued with engagement because it feels like we've been talking for so long. When is the physical outcome going to happen? And so in your role as councilman that's stewarding so many different conversations with so many people and working to collaborate to move things forward, how do you keep people encouraged in the interim of the outcome of the execution of some of these things coming to the forefront?
Well, I think first thing is bridging the communication gap by being consistent in the way that we're communicating. And so I started a Ward 7 email newsletter. We're going to hopefully by the end of the year have a Ward 7 website where we can go put a community calendar, have more updates. There's got to be more points where people can easily access better information. The other thing is being intentional about, I can't get to every church. I can't get to every community club. I can't get to every fraternity or sorority. So it's my job to make sure that the leaders of those organizations have access to me and the ability to understand where we are, because we have a shared responsibility to communicate with our neighbors, a shared responsibility to communicate with the people in our community. And we've got to take that on as leaders and say we can't operate in that silo, because it's absolutely critical that we be communicating together. So I've got to model that behavior. There are a lot of things to be negative about in modern politics. You read the news, you see things, the divestments that's happening. I am a nonprofit leader. I depend on federal and state grants and contracts. They've been under threat, and we use that money directly to serve families in this city. But I am always reminded that we are a people of faith. We've got to do that now. And sometimes we can't see the whole, you can't see the whole staircase. Sometimes you have to walk in the darkness with just a little bit, step at a time. Like, and you've got to embrace that.
Real.
And I think we've got to remember that's what's carried us through in the past. And that same mentality will take us through to the future.
That's it.
Have we arrived at the final conclusion?
Yeah.
No. But every day we're going to get a little bit better and a little bit better. And I'm going to keep on believing.
Yeah. I that's so real. Being able to get comfortable and walking in the wilderness. We're going to have to figure this out. We're going to try some things. Some things are going to be a failure.
Absolutely.
But we have to move forward and stay encouraged because there's just too much work to do. And when I think about our elders, our grandmothers, and ancestors who paved the way for us, how amazing that we have a job where we can fully focus in on this work. Like, I think about my grandmother and how she just made it happen every single day. And I just feel so grateful that, you know, the Clara Loopers, the legacy residents of this community, the heroes of our community that paved a way for us to be able to do this work in real time, and how we are here to be a conduit to incrementally push forward so the next generation can take the torch, because we can't do this forever either.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to retire.
Right. I appreciate what you're saying too about the importance of us being intentional, that we're going to pass this along to the next generation. It's our job to set up the next set of people who will be successful, because I too will retire and I'm going to support the new.
Right. And bringing in the infrastructure, the resources, so they can step into these roles and don't have to work as hard as we did. Just like we didn't have to work as hard as our grandparents did. We had to work hard, but when I think about the things my grandmother went through, I'm like, there is just no way. I mean, I would have found a way, I'm sure, but I'm like, I can't complain about anything, and that's one of my goals is how do we make it easier for that next generation where they're coming in more supported, more informed, walking into organizations and structures that we've created that they can take forward and innovate and make anew. I'm just so excited for that potential, and there is a strong network of young leaders.
Absolutely,
that we're at the age now where we're like, you know, we're not the babies anymore.
Right. Well, I think we're building that together, one step at a time, being clear about what that vision is, caring about all of our neighbors, and so I'm optimistic.
Me too. And I feel like the South of 8th plan, my hope is that it's a guide in the strategies that we need to continue to build over time. You know, that so much has even changed since that 2 years that has passed.
Oh man, it's
so much has changed. And we've been able to use that plan to help cultivate resources and build partnerships. And how do we keep that work going? How can the work that was invested over that 2-year process continue to inform what we're working on as a collective? Because some of these conversations we've already had, and they might change and we might need to revisit them, but we have already as a community defined a lot of the priorities, a lot of the goals.
Yes.
We don't have to keep restarting conversations. How do we build off of the contributions and off of the history and the models that we already have here that make our community great?
I appreciate the work that you've done and just look forward to continuing to work with you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. Cut!